Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. So, The Acolyte might be done, but we have some new bombshell reveals from San Diego Comic-Con 2024. Yesterday, on full display, the costumes and concept art of the show. And there is one picture which depicts the art for the original confrontation between the twins and Sol. And this matches up with the description of a scene that was filmed that we never got. I brought this up with MakingStarWars.net, and their theory is that this was changed. This is what was originally going to go down between Osha and Sol before they changed it to a forced choke, and I think we were robbed. Now granted, concept art does make things more dramatic than they're supposed to be. For instance, there wasn't going to be this Mustafar volcano-like vibe to it. Nonetheless, it was not going to be a submission from Sol and a forced choke from Osha. In this version of events, which they did film, the final battle, which ended up being between the Stranger and the Jedi Master, was originally going to be with his former Padawan, and it looks like it was going to be a lot more intense. Now, here's the thing, even in the concept art she's not using a weapon, but the original description for the scene they didn't use describes a duel between the two characters. Osha doesn't have Sol's lightsaber yet, so I wonder if they filmed a fight using one. Qimir gave her his. We don't know how much training Osha had with a lightsaber, and therefore I guess it didn't make much sense that she could hold her own against Sol. Qimir could, so the final decision in that respect makes more sense in the context of the story we had. Instead of Osha telling Sol to just stop talking and then proceeding to give him a forced choke, Sol had his lightsaber ignited, and it's believed they filmed a scene where they fought. As you can see from the concept art, Sol's lightsaber is green. Of course in the show it ended up being blue, but he's in fighting stance, and it's not certain if Osha herself had a weapon. But the new version we see in the show was a reshoot, not part of the original principal photography, but I believe in both versions, Sol dies. The original description from Bespin Bulletin goes like this. A reshoot at the end of last year took place in Rickmansworth Forest, focusing on two individuals taking part in a lightsaber duel, one Jedi and one Sith. So Osha was already going to have a red lightsaber at this point. The Sith was Amanda Stenberg, though her appearance was different, and she bore a cape, which we didn't see in the last episode. During the reshoot, Stenberg's hair was noticeably longer and was tied in a unique style. Stenberg's outfit featured a short-sleeved dark grey top and dark grey bottoms. The black item of clothing was a cape, and appeared to have a smaller piece placed in front of it. And while the concept art for most scenes was very different, this at least gives us a bit of context to what might have been. Nonetheless, the fight scene we did get between Qimir and Sol was very well choreographed and probably one of the best moments of episode 8. Some more art from San Diego Comic-Con. The witches were originally much less ominous. They almost resemble Jawas. The Jedi Temple on Coruscant, noticeably different, very reminiscent of some of the earliest Phantom Menace concept art, but also kind of reminds me of The Creator by Gareth Edwards. Then we have the mysterious Cortosis Sith planet, which could be Boldemnik, with a lot more colour than the final version. The scene where May enters the bar to kill Indara has a Chagrian, the species of Masamida. Despite my personal feelings towards this show, there is definitely a lot of credit to be given to the props department. The lightsaber hilts are also pretty fun, not to mention details of the apothecary shop. The planet Ueda kind of looks very similar to Corvus from The Mandalorian Season 2 and I guess Tales of the Empire. Very Kurosawa, samurai movie influence. Kofar absolutely takes inspiration from Kashyyyk. Olega looks pretty impressive, and I'm always a fan of background aliens. Lucasfilm also revealed 2 prequel books for The Acolyte, one focusing on Yord and Jeki releasing in July of 2025, and the other one set 20 years before the show, following Master Vernestra Rwoh and Indara, the second one by Justina Ireland. In other Acolyte news, my dear friends, have you seen this? The finale got a special poster which shows Osha and May, Osha with her lightsaber changing from blue to red, of course she bled it, and in the background behind them, the Tree of Brendok, which some fans think could be the heart of the Vergence on that world. After Leslie Edlund confirmed, it's not the twins themselves that are the Vergence. And on either side, given Sol's death, these are the opposing forces I believe are going to be at the heart of a Season 2 if they ever make it. Vernestra and her former Padawan Qimir, the light and the dark. We've been talking a lot about the role of Plagueis, of Yoda, but ultimately I think Leslie wants to explore more Vern. And speaking of which, they just announced a Black Series figure of her, although she doesn't have her massive purple whip. Also on the subject of San Diego Comic-Con, OG animated Ahsoka Tano, the voice actress Ashley Eckstein, has expressed interest once again in making an appearance in the live-action Ahsoka show for Dave Filoni's Season 2. Of course, Rosario Dawson is live-action Ahsoka, but fans have been saying for a long time Ashley should play some kind of role, and she now has a definitive answer as to the specific character she wants to play. She said this: "I feel like I wouldn't be a Star Wars fan without thinking about this. So I want to preface this by saying I leave this to Dave Filoni. I've always left story ideas to Dave. Fan comments always say, I'm just a voice actress, but no, the majority of my career has been on stage or on camera for live action. So of course, I would love to appear in the show in live action in any way. But considering Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka, I'd love to appear as the daughter of Mortis. And the timing couldn't be more perfect. It was teased at the end of the first season, there is some connection between Peridea, the second galaxy, and the Mortis gods. We saw the statue of the father, the brother, and the daughter. Considering Ahsoka Tano is now the embodiment of the daughter, the manifestation of the daughter as we know her from the Clone Wars series could appear in flashbacks, or they could go about it a different way. If they do it, I can absolutely imagine her being played by Ashley. And you know what, my dear friends, the more I think about it, the more I realise she'd be perfect." Staying in the world of cons but moving away from San Diego, at Ace Comic Con 2024, Diego Luna, Cassian Andor himself, opens up about what it's like fitting in what was going to be 5 seasons into just 2, with the second season coming in 2025. He said, "Logistically it makes sense, there was just 2. If we did 5, we'd end up finishing in 2034. I'll be with my cane, my walking stick, pretending to be on my way to Rogue One. Tony came up with a great idea of doing 4 blocks, and each block is a year before Rogue. And you know, my dear friends, even when Tony Gilroy is done with Andor, I'm hoping for more spin-offs. I personally would love to see a show focusing on Saw Gerrera." San Diego Comic-Con also gave us a brand new Skywalker Saga poster, so there are none of the shows on this. It's just the trilogies, the prequels, the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy. I've always been big on placing Luke at the centre of these posters, and I'm glad they stuck with this. Not to mention Han and Leia on either side of him, the different Anakins, Palpatine and Vader in big at the top alongside Kylo Ren. I really like this. Now while we're in the midst of San Diego Comic-Con, and we have Disney D23 coming up, it doesn't look like we're getting that many announcements for upcoming projects. I honestly think Skeleton Crew, if anything, is our best bet, and even then, they might push that off until the winter, so we need to hold our breaths. I do have some exciting Star Wars movie news coming up in the next couple of days, so make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for that. But with that said, my dear friends, that brings us to the end of today's Star Wars news update. I hope you had fun. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and why not check out our Patreon page? The link is down below. Over there you'll find lots of videos not found here on YouTube, early access, podcasts, collaborations, interviews, and lots more. I think you'll love it. But until the next one, my dear friends, may the Force be with you, always.